Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
Welcome along to episode 4 of Mutchy and Denno. Right, this episode we're going to start off about roommates. What makes a good roommate? What makes a bad roommate? Have you had either, Mutchy?
No, only good ones, me. My first roommate was Floyd Streete. We got on like a house on fire. We had a bit of a laugh, you know. Floyd was really laid back, wasn't he? If he went to the butcher's, he used to order half a pound of lean back. Always, didn't he? But he was a class act. And then, obviously, I had Cookie for about 3 years.
Paul Cook?
A bit more. Paul Cook, yeah. What a player he was. Doing brilliant in his management at the minute. Or has been since he started doing it. But he was a case cookie. He was always up early. He always had breakfast. He was like on pins all the time, you know what I mean? And in fact, I'd never have put him down to be a manager, if I'm truthful. He was very bright as far as football was concerned. But to actually become a manager, I just didn't think that it was sort of in his DNA, if you know what I mean. But he's done a marvellous job. And we had some right laughs because he was a case and I liked the crack. And I remember we went to Sweden and we organised that Brecker place and we organised a tennis tournament and me and Cookie were doubles, right? And we got knocked out in the first round, so we cancelled the tournament. That's how it rolled. We were winning it. We carried on that.
You took your rackets home, did you, mate?
Yeah, we took the rackets and the ball and everything home. You know what I mean? Pull the net down.
What about you, Denno? Any roommates?
Nobody over really a long time. Keith would have been the main one.
Keith Downing,
yeah. Keith came from Notts County, probably the summer 87-ish.
Another one who's had a career in management as an assistant manager, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, Keith was always enthusiastic about the coaching side of things.
Yeah.
Even on a Sunday morning, Keith would have gone down locally, and I'd pop down to have a beer with him afterwards, not to help him, like. Just to have a beer.
I thought he was going to take you bring an orange.
But he used to run a Sunday league team with his mates, right? And he was always coaching them and pointing them in the right direction. So from then, while he was still playing at 24, 25, 26, Keith was always looked as if he was going into the coaching side of things, and he's absolutely done fantastic. Really, he's managed West Brom for a time. I know it was only temporary in charge and stuff, but on the coaching side of things, he's hardly been out of work. So but Keith was always very intense about the game. Yeah. When he played, he was quite intense. You know what I mean? Away from the game, before the games, he was intense. But whenever you got him away from the actual pitch and stuff, he was really mild mannered and stuff, and quite laid back about things. But once he crossed the white line, then it was all hell broke loose. Like,
but Psycho was his nickname, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but you needed players like that. Really, on a bad day when you needed someone to kick in the gear, Keith would have been the one that probably kicked the team into gear. You know what I mean? Because he would have been the one going around digging a few people and getting people started. Then, but he's done fantastic in the coaching side of things, management as well, and I think he's still involved with Derby.
He got the record, didn't he, Keith, for the quickest booking ever? Remember when we used to watch videos of the games when we'd done bad? When we'd done well, the gaffer never shows the videos. So if we've had a bad game, he'd put it on a Monday and we're sitting there going, here we go. And we're watching this game and going, I hope I haven't given the ball away, you're thinking, and all that rubbish, right? Anyway, one of the games, I'm sure it was Blackburn at Molineux. The ref blew the whistle to kick off. And as he's blowing the whistle, Keith has just taken off. And as soon as the fella's kicked the ball, he's absolutely crunched 2 blokes at the same time, right? And the ref's just gone, yellow carded him. And I swear we'd been playing about 2 seconds, haven't we? And it was so funny to actually see it. At the time, you just think, it's just adrenaline's going here. You know, you've got your own adrenaline, so you're not really... But when you actually see it a few days later, when you're all calm, sitting down, watching it on a video, it was hilarious, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Couldn't stop laughing.
You could tell before the games, couldn't you?
Oh.
Because Keith would have just gone into shell and he would have got that frown on the top of his forehead, and he was ready to go.
It's like that emoji, wasn't he? The orange emoji that you send.
He was, that was all the games. He's ready to go in all the games. And as I said, you need people like that really to kick in the gear a little bit every now and again.
Fans loved him as well. The fans absolutely loved him.
Because he was absolutely 100%. Every time, as I say, he crossed the white line, he gave you everything that
How
he
could
had.
you not? When you really think about it, right? He was just thunder. He had nothing about him to say he'd look like someone
He
like...
was the biggest, was he?
Well, there you go. Someone like Vinnie Jones or something, you see the reason why he's a unit type thing, and if he wants to bully a bit and put himself about, you can expect that. But when you see Keith, you see a charming character off the pitch. You see he's quite placid in many ways, but once he gets in that football environment where it's for real, he was like the Tasmanian devil, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He had a song written about him. Did you know that? He had a song written about him by a fan.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
Yeah, it's called Keith Downing is a Punk Rocker. And there was a fan called Bobby Smith, who he's quite well known.
I've heard of Bobby Smith.
He's a member of the London Wolves.
That's who I was thinking,
and still is. And he used to write for the fanzine, A Load of Bull. Do you remember A Load of Bull, the Wolves fanzine? And he's big into his punk rock. And he wrote a single called Keith Downing is a Punk Rocker. And I think they gave it away in one of the issues.
I'm sure that guy, Johnny, was something to do with recording studio in London, wasn't it, music?
I don't know his background. He's a big
And
punk
do you know
rock
that
fan. Good
song
writer
which
as well.
was I'll Be There For You, which was like a feature of the Friends or something? I think he was involved with that. I'm absolutely convinced, by the way. But we'll have to check that up.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get... But Bobby will be in touch with the show at some stage. Definitely he will.
Or maybe I'm just bullying him up.
He was a big fan of Robbie Dennison as well.
Well, get him on, John.
We should get him in. We should get his number to perform. Keith Downing is a punk rocker. That would be great, wouldn't it? We're in a recording studio after all. Mutchy, tell us a bit more about Cookie then, because he was quite a live wire character. I loved him as a player. I absolutely loved him.
Oh yeah, what a player! What a left foot!
So gifted,
in fact, if you're being brutal, he underachieved really.
Yeah.
Because he had everything. He could run for fun. He had a left foot. He wasn't the greatest of tacklers. We didn't need to do that, because his game was different. He could snore for fun. I couldn't get to sleep at night.
Big snorer.
Oh, unbelievably, by the way. You saw the size of his nose, didn't you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
point.
No, joking apart. But he was a live wire Cookie, you know what I mean? He liked to go out and have a few and all that. He was proud for where he was from, Liverpool. He was always back in Kirby, seeing his mates and all that. He always had an entourage of lads down watching the matches wherever we played. I even see fellas now, I might go and play at a golf club that I'm not a member of, and then I see, said, hey, I was Cookie's mate, because he knows blah, blah, blah. And we have a bit of a chat, and he tells us all the stories about what he was up to. He used to like going out in Liverpool and having a crack, and he actually ended up playing at Tranmere in the end.
Yeah, he did.
I think that was his perfect move, because he loved the city, big Liverpool fan, so he'd obviously be in and around there. But he was a good lad, but he was a box of frogs. But, you have to be very careful what you say sometimes,
He used to put some lovely balls on a plate for Bully, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Yeah.
When he got on the ball. It was probably a hard team to play for to some degree, because a lot of the balls were going a bit over the top, should we say?
Yeah, that's it.
It's hard to get Cookie on the ball.
Sometimes, yeah. But he had a hell of a left foot. He was very direct as a player. And I think that suited what the gaffer wanted. And he wanted it forward. So he didn't feed you a lot, I imagine.
No, well, I was just about to say that much.
All right, sorry.
Whenever I played outside Cookie most of the time, and Cookie's left foot was fantastic. His passing range and all of that was absolutely fantastic. And that ball you're talking about from sort of left side midfield, he's just inside,
diagonal,
dropping it over the shoulder of the centre half, and Bully coming in on the diagonal was a fantastic ball. But whenever you're playing out wide to him, you wanted him just to shove it down your throat as much as possible, because that's my position, right? I just want someone to keep shoving it down your throat. You go, do whatever you have to do in the last third, get crosses in, get shots in or whatever. But Cookie, Mutchy mentions his engine. He could have run for fun. We used to do the beep test, and Cookie would have been the last one standing, right? And then he was just dropped out because he was bored, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was that type of thing. His engine was fantastic. everything about him was different class with regards to football. But playing or outside him, I just wanted someone just to shove it down my throat. So I might have had a moan groan every now and again.
It's a shame you didn't play on the left then, because then he could have passed to Mutchy on the left-hand side.
No, he wouldn't have passed to me.
Pass the Mutchy on the left.
Well, thanks, Denno.
What a
Thanks,
song that
actually.
is.
Hey,
There you go. I'm glad.
That's brilliant. That.
write that down, Mutchy. Write that down, mate.
Did you get that from that Zoom call we did? Wasn't that?
We'll do a songs episode. We've had 2 songs already this episode.
Have we?
Pass the Dutchie and Keith Downing is a punk rocker.
Okay.
We definitely need to do.
Was Sheenan had a punk rocker before Keith?
We'll get Bobby Smith in to find out.
Well,
You know that song, didn't you? No.
never heard of
No,
it.
anyway, Mutchy.
Never heard of it, lad.
Move on.
Moving swiftly on. Floyd Streete, you mentioned. It was sort of exactly what Ali Robertson probably needed alongside him, wasn't he? Back in the day.
Well, Floyd was a big, strong, powerful lad, but he wasn't a bully in any shape or form. He just basically, he was quick, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's quick.
And he read the game well. So even if he got someone got the run on him, he'd recover with his power, you know what I mean? And that's the type of lad he was. And he was dead reliable, but he was very laid back, actually, for the ability he had. And he came from Derby County, didn't he?
The story I have about Floyd was my trial match for West Brom was against Derby.
Right.
And Floyd was playing right back. And I was up against him. I didn't realise it at the time until he came to Wolves and all that sort of stuff.
Right, I didn't know that.
And I actually played half decent against him, so he got me a move. So I've got that to be grateful for. Floyd.
That's true.
Yeah.
But he wasn't
But
a right
think-
back, was he?
No, he wasn't. No.
No wonder
He
he
was-
played
was
well
too-
then.
He was too big. But he always seemed to be playing in second gear, Floyd. You know, whenever he needed to slip it into third gear, he just did it enough. But he had a bit of a fallout. Do you remember at Stoke away?
Yeah, he fell out with the manager.
With
Yeah.
the gaffer. They had a bit of a
Yeah.
Barney at full time. Floyd just threw the hands up and said, and Floyd was really mild mannered, you know what I mean? And said, "Oh, get someone else in," and that was the end. That's the last resort.
Didn't he?
He
And
never-
that's how he
he never
left the club.
That's what's happened.
He never said a
Didn't know
word
that.
in the changing room, Floyd, although
Yeah.
he could have. He never said anything.
Yeah.
Right. He just got on with his job. He had a bit of a laugh, you know, just not too involved, but, you know, enough type thing. And they never a bad word. We play away at Stoke. Next minute, the gaffer's had a pop at him about something and he just wouldn't have it. And I think deep down, Floyd's reaction wasn't just to do with the football that day. I think, I personally believe that Floyd wasn't appreciated enough, not by the supporters or his teammates, by the management. And I was very surprised when they let Floyd go when they did, because he had so much ability and so much in his locker still. If you spent, and you know. I remember at Stockport saying to Gary Megson, "Gary, I'm telling you now, I don't even want to come in training. I can't run anymore," type thing. I'm 34 years of age, and Mega was brilliant. So you understand that, don't you? Floyd had so much more to offer, didn't he?
Yeah.
And when he left, it was just... It's like, if you're going to find somebody that's top drawer that's going to take his place, right, that's absolutely fine. But
I think Shane might have come in then, didn't he? Did Shane Wesley come in?
Graham Turner always
Yeah.
liked Shane Westy because he always struggled against Shane, playing against him.
Always.
When Shane
Yeah.
played for Southend,
just physicality.
he didn't
that's
get
all it
much
was.
change. So I think that's why Graham Turner liked Shane Wesley.
He did, but in truth, Shane's a cracking fella, right? But he struggled.
He wasn't a footballer.
But he
in that
had bad
cultured
knees.
sense.
He had bad knees, Shane. He was never had ice packs off his knees, did he?
know, yeah.
All the time. But in truth, Shane wasn't a patch on Floyd Streete, and that's only my opinion. Don't get me wrong. Shane had his talents. Bully was physicality, right? Strong, was up for the fight, and obviously Shane was as well. Big 6'6" lad, and he was up for the fight. So every time he played against Bully, he always played well, like Walshy did at Leicester. The same
Yes.
thing where just keep fighting him and you put him off what he's doing. Invariably, that was the best way to deal with him, wasn't it? And there's only a few centre-halves sussed it out, really.
But do you know what? There was only a few that could do it, Mutchy, wasn't it?
That's right.
You know, because Bully was so strong,
Yeah.
so sharp, so strong, physically strong.
Yeah.
And there was only one or two that could do it. Walshy could have
True.
a go at it. Shane maybe.
Big
Maybe
Shane,
one
yeah.
or two others. But the rest of them
Yeah.
just
Lots of
wilted
tried.
under strike.
Lots tried, didn't they?
Yeah.
No doubt. But we're going back to Floyd, really. For me, there was so much left for him
Oh, there was, yeah.
at the club,
Definitely.
wasn't there? And the
It was
supporters
a surprise to
loved him.
everyone, really, with what happened and
Yeah.
what happened so quickly. You know,
Yes.
there must have been. I don't think a gaffer does that unless it's been bubbling for a while and he's
Right.
got something in his head that something's going to happen. Because if a player just says something like that to him, surely you would have a chat with him and say, "Listen, let's do this, do that." But all of a sudden, went bang. That was it. Floyd was gone. So it's just
Yeah.
it does seem
And
a bit
it's hard-
strange in how it all came apart.
It's hard sometimes, unless you've got some amazing story to tell about someone. I got on so well with Floyd. He was a gentleman, and we were just friends, if that's the best way you put it. You know what I mean? I enjoyed his company every time we were away together, where we're eating and we're in the room watching whatever we're doing, all that time, which is not a lot, really. All you do there is bloody sleep and eat, didn't you, when you went away? It used to drive you nuts, right? But he was a charming character. And sadly, to this day, I haven't seen Floyd Streete since he left the club, because he left before me. I feel quite sad about that. I don't even know what he does.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think a lot of, obviously, there were characters like Ali Robertson, Mark Kendall, another big dressing room character. There's others that have stayed in the area. Bully and Tomo in particular are always down at Wolves. Denno to a lesser extent, but you go down to Wolves a fair bit. Mutchy, you stayed in the game. You had a Premier League career. There's lots of players from that era that we sort of know what happened to. Keith Downing, we were chatting about before. But you're spot on about Floyd. The minute he left Wolves, and he was loved by the fans.
Absolutely.
The minute he left Wolves, I don't think any of us have ever heard from him ever again. And he was such a key part of those days when we were coming up through the
Someone
divisions.
mentioned he was coming to a do about 6 years ago, maybe, because with COVID and that, you get mixed up with how long ago it was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I remember once saying, Floyd's coming. I couldn't believe it, right? He didn't actually turn up. But they said Shane Wesley was coming to a do once, and he did come, didn't he, one night? I think that was Tomo's night, wasn't it? Yeah, it'd be nice to see him, what he's up to. Hopefully he's still happy and well.
I think his lad might have played for Port Vale for a bit.
All right.
But I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I think his lad did break through into professional football.
Right.
And then moved on. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, just talking it generally as well. Is football that industry where you can be so close to someone and you can be like brothers almost? And then because of the nature of the industry and the fact that it's transfer based, you lose touch with people in a way that makes it quite sad.
Yeah. Going back to Keith. Keith lives about 15 minutes away from me. Right, and I've probably seen him maybe once or two or three times over the last 20 odd years.
Wow.
And it's crazy how, because he obviously goes all around the country doing his thing, Derby and all that sort of stuff. You know, me and Mutchy probably didn't speak for quite a while either. And then all of a sudden you get back together again, it's like that again, you know what I mean? So it is a bit strange with regards to that, in each other's pockets all the time. And then all of a sudden you don't see people, and then you go, oh... But you get into your own little bubble sometimes, Donny, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, another 6 months go by, another 12 months go by. So unless you really make the effort to organise something and get the lads together, and then it probably doesn't happen. So it is a bit strange that way, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you're sort of associates, really, you know, and you have your one or two real close friend, I suppose. That's sort of how it rolls. But it's the way life's gone, really. People don't even speak to the neighbours nowadays, do they? Where once upon a time, everyone was in everybody's house, weren't they? You know, back in the day and all that. It's a fast life now, and people are off doing what they do, trying to earn a living, whatever they do. So sometimes.
Where did you live, Mutchy, when you played for Wolves? Whereabouts did you live?
In Ironbridge, yeah.
In Ironbridge.
I lived in Ironbridge for a while, by the river. Robbie came over quite a few times with Denise.
And where were you, Dano, when you were playing?
I've always been around where I'm now, around Halesowen.
Yeah.
So I've moved probably 4 times around now, just
Okay.
that area. Because whenever I was at the Albion, I actually had digs over that way. I was staying in a rented place over that way. And then whenever the Wolves came along, Wolves was still only half an hour down the road. So I stayed around that area.
And Mutchy, to take it back to what we were just chatting about when we came in, because you mentioned Floyd Streete, you mentioned Cookie.
This was the interesting one, I roomed with Tom Bennett. We were away in Gibraltar, and how it worked, I don't know. I think Floyd might have been there at the time. And I remember Tom saying, I was really surprised. He came from the Villa. He was a youngish lad. I think he was about 19 at the time, maybe. And we roomed together. And after we roomed, and for the few days we were there, he sort of had a chat with me when we got back. He says, you know what, he said, that was actually unbelievable, brilliant. And I'm going, what do you mean, Tom? He went, well, when I was told I was rooming with you, he said, I was frightened to death. I says, what are you about? And he says, well, you're flying in the team and all that. I'm trying to make me way. And I just thought, oh, what am I doing room with him, if you know what I mean? I realised, he said, when we were chatting and you were giving me advice, he said, you're a good lad, aren't you? He said, oh,
You're normal?
You're normal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because you know the way people put people on pedestals.
Well, it's a settled team, isn't it, that back then?
Yeah.
So it's probably a hard team to come into.
And you're butting in.
Yeah.
If you in his head, you know what I mean? He's a young lad that's come from Villa. But what a cracking lad he is, Tom.
Yeah,
right?
brilliant.
He's
And you went and played with him later on at Stockport County, didn't you?
Stockport. And at that time, right, I'm done. So I'm doing bit part games, and it was Tom and Mazza centre midfield. Right?
Tom and Chris Marston.
Chris
Another
Marston.
ex-Wolves player.
And they were absolutely brilliant. And we'd Nick Jonesy, Paul Jones. We signed him because Dave Jones said to me, I'm thinking of signing this keeper from Wolves called Andy DeBont. And I went, Dave, just forget that. the lad you want to go for is Paul Jones. He's itching to play first team football. He's been in and been taken out the team, if you know what I mean. So Dave ended up signing. So there was a few Wolves lads there, you know.
Yeah.
But Tom came of age. He had a bad leg break at Birmingham, a real bad one, but he overcome it. He was a bit one pace, Tommy. But I tell you what a good footballer he was, as he matured. And as he matured, and by the time, because Stockport County have always, to me, been a team down the lower echelons. Well, when I went there, it's nothing to do with me. When I went there, he'd sort of collated a side together. We got promoted into the 3rd division. Then we got promoted into the Championship. And we lost in the semi-final over 2 legs to Middlesbrough in the League Cup when Brian Robson was manager. And they had Ravanelli, Jorginho, Festa, all them playing for him, right? And we only lost 3-2 over 2 legs, home and away.
Wow.
And we had a cracking team. And I've got to say, Tom and Mazza were the absolute engine room of that team. They were brilliant. And they had the young lad called Armstrong up front, Alan Armstrong, who ended up going to Middlesbrough for quite a bit of money.
I think when Tom
Outstanding.
When Tom first came to Wolves, he's a right back, wasn't he?
Yes.
He played right back for a little bit, and then he went into midfield, and you're thinking, not sure that's going to work really, but he was fantastic.
He was brilliant.
He was fantastic. But the one thing I remember about Tom, do you remember we played the Albion?
Yes.
3-2-2. Mick got knocked out. Mick Stoll got knocked out.
That's
and
right.
Tom ended up having to go on goals. Did you play in that
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing,
It was
isn't
so
it?
funny, right? Because
So there were no
Tom was-
substitute keepers in those times?
No, there wasn't, no.
There was only 2 subs, weren't there?
well,
Maybe.
Mick's getting sorted out.
There
right?
might have been one, you know.
Right.
And Tom,
Well, you might be right.
Tom's putting who's going on goals. The gaffers come on. Who's going on goals? Tom go. I'll go on goals.
I remember
So
that
he's
game,
put
yeah.
Mick's jersey on. Mick's
Too big
jersey's
for him, wasn't
far
it?
too
Drowning
big.
him, wasn't he?
He put his gloves on. He looked like Kenny Everett. Do you remember Kenny Everett with the big gloves on, big hands, right? He looked
Honestly,
like him,
God.
right? And the gaffer says to me, Graham Turner says to me, "Warm him up there. Go on, warm him up, right?" So
Is this at half time? What's
no,
the-
this was about halfway through the second half. They're getting Mick sorted out because
So while Mick's
they're
being
stretching,
injured-
Because the cage stopped,
stretching
then
off,
you
right?
see.
Yeah, you're
So
warming him up.
I'm warming him up, right? And Tom's dropping everything. Seriously, I've just thrown a couple at him, like, and he's still dropping them, right? And I said after about 4 or 5, I says, "Tom, I think you're ready now, right? Let's go, right?"
What was the
And he
score?
actually did
What
okay.
was the
It was
score?
2-2.
Was it 2-2 when
Yeah,
he took
2-2.
over?
Didn't
No,
they
it was
equalise?
1. I think it was 1-1, wasn't it?
I think they equalised, didn't
Yeah,
they?
but Tony Ford, I don't know. I think Tom only conceded 1, but Tony Ford hit one from 25 yards,
Yeah.
an absolute screamer.
He did, yeah.
And Mick might have struggled to save it anyway because it was a
Yeah.
fantastic strike. But Tom otherwise did okay. And I then think Mark Todd might have scored the equaliser near the end for us from 3-2-2. But that was funny to Tom. Tom, he was.
Did he
wasn't even big
volunteer
enough.
to go and goal?
He did, yeah.
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 On what basis? He said he was good at it as a kid.
He said his hands were cold. He wanted to put some gloves on, didn't he?
But it's just one of those funny things, you know. And he was no more equipped to do goals than anybody was, you know. What I
No.
mean? But he just, I'll do it. I'll have a go.
I mean, that's mental, isn't it? Especially in a derby that's so important like that. Volunteering to go and goal.
Somebody had to, didn't they?
Where were you? Were you?
No, I was warming Tom up.
Yeah, was that your job? Mutchy not fancy it?
No, but when Robbie was warming him up, I thought he was going to say, "Listen, Tom, I've seen enough. Give us the gloves."
Here's that shirt.
I
But
mean,
it's,
was he coming for crosses and that sort of thing? Or
No.
Wedge,
Whenever there's a
wedge to
corner,
his
there's
line?
about 5 of us around them just to make sure it didn't come out.
He was ringing the top out when he was standing doing nothing.
Do you know what? I'm not even sure. He might have saved everything with his feet that day. I don't think he used his hands at all.
I remember being at the game, but I don't remember his performance. But maybe
No, I
don't
the
think
thing that just sticks in my mind is that the goalie top was just way too big for
Yeah.
him.
And the gloves, seriously, the gloves.
The gloves
Kenny
are like
Everett.
those foam hands.
Honestly, it was just like this.
There was one other goalkeeping performance, aside from Tom Bennett's heroics, that sticks in the throat a little bit for me. We were 2-1 up in the first leg of the 1989 Sherpa Van Trophy Southern Area or Northern Area final, semi-final in all intents and
Southern
purposes.
area, wasn't it?
Southern Area, yeah, of course, because we played Torquay.
Torquay, yeah.
Well said.
Come on, Johnny, lad.
Well said, Mutchy. So we were 2-1 up in the
Yeah.
second leg. I thought we were going back to Wembley. We are in here. We're 2-1 up going into the second leg after winning down in Torquay. I think Bully scored 2 very late goals.
Yeah.
And then what happened at home?
Well, it's one of the most disappointing. The fact that we've been to Wembley the year before and, you know, what an occasion, and that's been well documented, I suppose. So we got Torquay over 2 legs. We're 2-1 up, back to Molineux, full house, all the suits are bought and all that jazz. And we got Roger Hansbury on loan from the Blues. I can't remember why, actually, Robbie. I don't know if Kendo was injured or what had happened. Anyway, he played that day. I'm not sure whether he wore contact lenses or not, but if he did, he didn't put him in that night. Trust me, poor fella. And so he gets this free kick, and he's sort of going to line the wall up. And as he's lining the wall up, the fella just bends it in the corner. Obviously, that was part of the defeat over the two legs, which has, stopped us going to Wembley again. You look back now, and it was such a window of opportunity that, but back to keepers, they're their own.
They're mad, aren't they?
They're their own union, aren't they?
But I actually think even in that game, we still should have won the game that night. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where, yes, everybody was expecting us to go, and people come to you after the game and said they'd already booked the coaches and stuff like that to go down, and it was heartbreaking. It was one of those games that stayed with you for a long, long time. It took a while to get over that one, but first time we got to the Sherpa Van final. Do you remember the lad who came over the window and come on me babbies
That's
and all
right.
that sort of
Yeah,
scenario? Yeah, and it was on the news and all that, and we've bumped into him recently. But the second one, whenever we lost against Torquay that night, there was a brick come through the window. So you've got your highs.
Genuinely, someone put a brick
yeah,
through
there was
the
a
window.
brick come through the window. So you've got your highs and lows in football, haven't you?
Definitely.
With regards to with regards to
Come on, me
success.
babbies and bricks.
I wasn't the same fella now, so don't be putting that on. You know what I mean? It wasn't them, but it just shows you the highs and lows of what being a fan is, what the player is as well. Because we still had a fantastic season that year, but the disappointment of not getting to Wembley again was obviously too much for one lad to take. But it was.
Now you mentioned those changing rooms. Were they the most exposed changing rooms in football? They literally backed onto the street, didn't they? Just a small glass windows.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And they did let
Could
you
you
know.
hear the fans outside?
Oh yeah. You did let you know whether you'd done well or you hadn't done well. You know what I mean? And a few choice words.
You'd
but
get in the shower quick, if you played
if
badly.
we had a shower, we would have done. Yeah.
Yeah, if we had a shower, yeah. Well, we did have a shower, Rob, didn't we? Come on.
In the old
Yeah,
stand.
we had showers and baths in there.
Did we?
Did you not know?
Where was the showers? Where were they hidden?
Next to the bath.
Oh, were they? All I remember was the grubby baths.
Oh
That was shared.
I used to remember Birchie in the bath, and when you'd get out, I'd just pull the plug out, and then I'd just
And
watch
Birchie's
him.
left in
I'd just watch him for a bit, and next minute the water's getting lower and lower, and I'm thinking, when's he going to suss it out? And I pull the plug out. I used to laugh like mad. But there was showers right opposite it. That's why I used to pull the plug out, have a shower, and watch it and see when it reacted.
But there was obviously at that time it was just a roller coaster ride for all of us really, and disappointment for that game was immense. And as I said, it took a long time to get over.
I know. My dad had already promised me tickets for the final, and I was absolutely devastated because I followed it on CFAX. This is, this is what's different for you because obviously you were playing in the games. Certain fans of a certain generation will know where we're coming from. Though they were obviously midweek games. I lived in Liverpool, grew up in Liverpool, so I didn't really get to come down to many midweek games. I did go to the Notts County game in the semi-final the year before, but for whatever reason, I didn't go to the Torquay semi-final. So I spent a lot of time following Wolves on CFAX, and it would be page 1 of 4, page 2 of 4, just going round and round. And in that first leg, we were 1-0 down to Torquay forever. I'm doing my homework. I've got CFAX on. Thank God I had parents who didn't really watch much telly because they let me just have CFAX on. And then the page flipped over and both the Bullies' goals went in. So we went from 1-0 to
Last few
2-1
minutes.
and it had something like Bull 86, Bull 88. And I was like jumping around the lounge going, this is ace.
Do you know,
But then I followed the second leg on CFAX and it was
So
devastating.
I kind of blame Bully for all that really, because I reckon if we lost the first leg 1-0, would have beat them in the second leg. So Bully's wrong for
Because,
putting
false
everybody
hope.
in a high.
I think
Yeah,
that's
and
a
like the expectation levels were just,
Put that
so-
area of complacency into
absolutely,
you.
yeah. So next time we'll get him on the podcast, and next time we can complain about that.
Good luck with that one, lad.
Obviously, I saw lots of Bullies' goals in the flesh, but I reckon I saw a good 100 of them on CFAX. Just bull. It was, honestly, following Wolves on CFAX, I don't know if other people did this, especially in away games in midweek. I used to follow Wolves on CFAX for midweek games.
Well, even back in the day, because you're talking about when the Premier League started, I think it was maybe 91.
92, 93, the Premier League
92,
started, yeah.
Yeah, 92, 93. Well, they still had CFAX then, because I remember going back to the hotel when I'd moved to Swindon, and your sort of line of information of what was going on with the footy and who was playing who and teams and all that squads, and you used to get it on the CFAX. So
We haven't really set the scene for millennials here. We're talking about
No.
CFAX. And Laura, do you know what CFAX is? Oh, no. So our social
dear.
media wizard, who's a lot younger, doesn't know what CFAX is. CFAX was basically a news service in teletext, in text form.
In text form, yeah.
That you could put up on your television. So you had your channels 1 to 4 in those days. And then you pressed text, CFAX, and it came up as just like a sort of digital newspaper on the screen.
Happy days.
Well,
tell
people
me.
used to book
Happy
their
days.
holidays, didn't they, on it?
That's right, teletext holidays.
Oh,
So
that
CFAX
jazz,
for
yeah.
the Beeb and teletext for ITV. And the football page for the BBC was 302. Does anyone remember that? No.
I do actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I do,
302,
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And then you
302.
go down to all the results. That was how, those of us who weren't at the match.
And you complain you can't get a
Followed
signal
Wolves.
now to
I
actually get
know.
the scores on whatever
Well,
app you're looking at.
You can't miss a kick now, can you? But in those days, you had to wait for the page. When Wolves were in the 4th division, it was 4 pages if the entire fixture list was being played out, because it was 12 games. Would that be right? 24 teams per division.
Yeah.
So you'd have three or four scores per screen with the goal scorers underneath them. So there'd generally be 3 pages. But then as the goals started going in, the CFAX would have to put a 4th page up because it ran out of space. And Wolves, if they're at home, was always page 4 or 4, right at the bottom. Wolves and Wrexham, down at the bottom. And there you go. So there's a little window into my days as a supporter.
Your life as a young supporter.
Well, yeah, my life as a young supporter. We talked disappointments, Denno, and we shouldn't really finish on a downer. But let's do it. Any other matches that the Torquay sticks out as a disappointment?
Yeah, that was horrible because of the fact that we played at Wembley the year before, had a great day, won the game, and all that scenario. But the biggest one for me, even above that one, is the Bolton one.
Oh, the playoff semi-final.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Listen, we never. Obviously, we'd come from the Albion and stuff, and we'd played in the Old Fourth. Got promoted twice. You're in the Championship for a few years. The one step that you really wanted to take to round everything off was to get in the Premiership with Wolves. I'm sure Bully and Tomo and Mutchy or whoever would have loved to have been able to achieve that with the club. We had the most equipped squad in that division at that time. The one thing that let us down at that point was a few injuries. We had loads of injuries during the season, but Graham Taylor had a good squad of players to work with. We still had a good enough team to beat Bolton. We absolutely battered them in the first leg. And when I say battered them, we did, honestly, we played them off the pitch. Ended up winning the game 2-1. Could easily have been 4-5-1, really, and the tie would have been over. And then go to Bolton, and they beat us 2-0. John McGinley scoring the 2 goals after punching Dave Kelly in the first half. Wasn't sent off. And he ended up scoring the 2 goals that knocked us out.
One of them was extra time, wasn't it? He
was
scored
extra
once,
time, yeah.
And then he took
But
extra time.
that was absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah,
it was, yeah.
Championship playoff semi-final.
Yeah,
to Wembley,
and it was, as I said before, it'd be nice to have that on your CV, really, to have taken Wolves from the Old Fourth into the Premiership. But it wasn't to be, but that took a long time to get over.
It's
long time
interesting
to
you
scale.
say that from a player's perspective, because from a supporter's perspective, that stuck with me for years. I took a long time to get it. And I know we were chatting about being sort of less involved since I've worked in the industry and less sort of passionate, but that Wolves Bolton second leg up at Burnden Park, it was a horrible night. It was raining, a horrible pitch. And I was devastated by that because, as you said, it felt like we'd finally got a team. We had some great players.
We had the best squad in the league at that time.
Yeah.
And like with Steve Frog would get injured, Tony Daly was injured, John DeWolf got injured about a month ago in the season. And I keep saying if Wolfie had stayed fit, because he was leading us to whatever, if he had stayed fit at the end of that season, we'd have got promoted that season. No problem at all. Dean Richards played.
What a player.
You know, we'd loads of really, really good players on the side. Vino, Mark Venus and stuff, and with such a good side, and we just couldn't get over the line with it. And do you know what? We couldn't have played any better in the first leg. Second leg should have been all over. It shouldn't have been a contest. We could not have played any better. So you can't say you sort of bottled it and all that sort of stuff.
No. Peter Shilton played in that first leg, didn't he?
Yeah, they were struggling for keepers. He ended up playing the first leg.
45 years old,
and everything we hit him. You know, it was one of those days where with so many chances, couldn't score. Didn't score enough, really, and it just wasn't to be.
Yeah,
just wasn't to be.
So sad.
But
John McGinley is a real swear word amongst Wolves fans. They can't stand him. But funnily enough, I've met him loads of times. And he works, I think, for local radio. I've met him loads. He's actually sound. Really,
most people are. But Bolton were a bit of a bee in her bonnet at that point as well. Weren't they? They were challenged with the same type of things as we were, and tend to get the upper hand on us a little bit, but
Their
over the
fans
2
got
legs.
under my skin a bit. I couldn't stand their fans.
Only because they're beating us, probably.
And
Johnny.
they had a bloody mascot. It was really annoying. He used to like large it in front of the away end. I couldn't stand Bolton. It's bringing it all back, Denno.
Yeah, it was horrible, man. And it's still, every time I think about it, it still bites at you a little bit. You know?
Did you play in the Battle of Burnden a year or two later? I think Wolves lost again. I think they were 3-0 maybe. It could have been worse. And it was a 21-man brawl.
No.
Everyone except...
If it had been, I would have been the one not fighting, Johnny.
Yeah, I think there was one player
That's
who
what
didn't
I
fight.
would have been.
I think for them there was Jerry Taggart, Nathan Blake.
Oh, Tags, yeah.
All those sort of players.
No, I wasn't involved in that.
Yeah,
I left the club by then.
Battle of Burnden, that was a different day. But we never got any change out of Bolton in those days. It was a horrible ground to go to, a horrible place. The less said about Bolton, the better. All right, sorry to end this podcast on a sour note. We'll start the next one on a far cheerier note. Thanks, fellas, for your input, as always. And a big thank you to WCR FM for providing the facilities and the studio for us to record this. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, it's at Mutchy and Denno on Instagram. And you can email us, mutchyanddenno@outlook.com. And we'll be back next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.